Okay. All right. Here we are. Just less than 30 minutes away from the 100,000th content creation hour. I've waited for so long for this. It has been over 24 and a half years, and we're almost here for the final. Less than 30 minutes until that time comes. So, um, honestly, I've been looking forward to such a moment. And honestly, I don't have that much of words to describe about how I'm going to go with explaining things. But I do have a little something to work with to give you guys a little history of my content creating journey. And I'm going to go ahead and get to it right now. Just rotate myself, center myself. I think we're good. So here we go. I have created a PowerPoint presentation. Well, more like Google Slides instead of the history of my content creating journey from August 2nd, 2001 to May 28th, 2026. So let's get to it. There we go. Okay. So I haven't really put everything into this because there's so much that I would have to, remember, put in here. So this is just usually scraping a good amount of my history. So don't think too much of it. But here we go. So first up, I want to give out a disclaimer. Even with all that I've done, I have yet to really get results of being known. Not as of popularity, but rather to know that people like me exist and how we took measures to express care to others. As it is to be known, I set myself as an option for others to choose, if desired, to enjoy the content of. So, as everyone, or should I at least say many people, do their content creating in a way of entertaining people and giving out, like, showing their dreams and all this sort of stuff, and to which express care, especially for communities who would want something. Mine was onto the matters of kind of pretty much going through hard times, through limitations, to show determination to express that there are people like me around that even through these hardships will do what we can. And it's hard for me to describe just how much I go through specifically, to which I may have a better way to explain it some other time. I'm a little nervous, so I can't really think straight in a way that fully explains it. But I wanted to give out this disclaimer. So, yeah. I need to look around just in case everything's... Okay, here we go. Starting off, August 2001. This was known as the Tri-Grand Day. And there are three things that, of course, happened, hence of why the Tri-Grand Day. Befriending twins of the current CEO of a popcorn company. This was actually quite something. More specifically about the fact that I had my very first ever best friends, which is the reason why I mentioned this. I didn't actually know that they were, like, of that fact until, like, a little bit in 4th grade, and then, like, a lot of the information by 6th grade? Somewhere within that kind of matter. It was hard for me to really remember, like, everything. But that was the stuff that I learned. So, the second is the beginning of my team, which was first known as Trio Chaos. Trio Chaos was the name of the team until its first evolution in 2008. So, there we have that. And of course, the big thing about everything on this day that relates to what we are, why we are here today, the start of my content creating. So, this is when it first began. go ahead and move on. First up, of course, is how it went with content creating. As of September 2001, I want to mention in August I was doing, like, you could say, experiments about how content creating was. Just a little heads up there. So in September 2001 was the first OC and series of mine. My first OC was Yoshi, not Yoshi, Yoshi. The I and H are swapped. He is a blue frog that uses the power of lava. I know, it's a little insane, but hey, I gotta start somewhere. And the first series, of course, where Yoshi is from, is Z-Stars. And that, of course, is his 2025 design on Roblox. I'm not an artist, so making stuff of the sort was a little bit tricky. But this was the history at the starting off with Yoshi. Okay, so for the rest of 2001, I worked on projects through simple sheets of paper to see what comes to mind to continue. 2001 was a simple but effective year, even if it was less than half a whole year. That's when the profit red flag of 2001 was established, where I refused to make profit off of my content. I wanted this to be done for free, and if anything, I would use money to spend to get this going, but not to make money. So that I did. So this is pretty simple. Next up is the 5-year process, which was from 2002 to 2006. There were new members of my team, but these were known as secondary members because it was still a trio chaos. Then we have, of course, new series and OCs of mine throughout the time. Not as much as it is from what's going to be later on, but yeah. And of course, we have content sources. This is, of course, using notebooks and index cards to create content. Usually just sheets of paper, but now I use notebooks to create games and comics, and index cards for games. I don't think I've mentioned this in the PowerPoint thing, but there's over 20 card games that I've made. I lost count in a way. I think I'm at 21, but I put like 20 plus from some previously mentioned thing. I don't remember, but somewhere over there. Somewhere around there. Okay, moving on. Oh right, and of course, the popularity red flag of 2006 was established because I did not desire popularity. I don't want to try to get attention. As I mentioned, I set myself as an option. If you want to learn more about these two red flag things, check out, of course, the very bottom of my other info section on my card site. That'll give you a good idea. Alright, August 2nd, 2007 was the first content evolution. At the age of 10, and of course this is part 1, at the age of 10, by heading to bed at a later time, the notice of potential opportunity resulted in switching from 8 hours to 12 hours on average. Has a little note there. This resulted to a multitude of new ideas. So the first one is mostly through subconscious activity, as brain was still being developed. Of course, as a 10-year-old, brain still develops, but subconscious activity, a second nature. Because that's how I counted my years, or not years, my hours. It's not just conscious, but subconscious. I've used homework assignments and used content creating as a way to do my homework in certain extents whenever I got the chance. Thinking about content from the back of my head, going with IRL situations and applying it to story. All this sort of stuff that would give me the motivation. So there's that. And of course, the second note is difficult to carry on until, and that's where we'll go with the next one. Part 2 is, hello there, Aarons. Welcome. Welcome. How you doing? Content being made on the internet. So technically, when it comes to an evolution, it happens within a day. But the process of the evolution for the first, just watching? Alright, welcome. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you. Content being made on the internet began, and I started off with Roblox. So, of course, the process of how that was different. So there's like building things up to know if it was going to work. That's kind of the idea, which of course took 9 days. And here it is. Of course, there's a little note here that says this started on the original Kaiko account before code names were given to members of the team. Also, due to mental conditions, scripting wasn't possible for me. Later on, I could edit scripts, but making scripts myself, I couldn't process it. So making things on Roblox. It's more about combining free models and doing what I can to create a combination of things that I like, which worked pretty well. That I'm glad about. Alright, here we go. Moving on. The rest of 2007, video production began with a good amount of videos posted on MySpace. So surprisingly, I should mention that in an extent, I could say this would be an evolution, but I'm not going to count it because it's like equal to the value of an evolution when it came to Roblox, because it's online stuff. This is more like a delay rather than an evolution from the first of being part of the first evolution. So video production began with a good amount of videos posted on MySpace. Use of notebooks and index cards continued. And of course I deleted the MySpace account many years later because I thought that it would be meaningless. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. I could have really had memories to hold on to there. But let's go ahead and move on. Next up is summer of 2008, the first team evolution. As I prepared for middle school, I thought of how I'd advance. Evolving the team was the first answer. The team became Chaos Exedra. A little note, Trio Chaos had me and the 2 members. The rest were secondary members, of course, as I mentioned earlier. The evolution made all into main members. In addition, membership was then available for people online. So yeah, I had members online by this time. And definitely later on, but I don't know if I really mentioned it specifically. Alright, let's move on. June 30th, 2009, the second content evolution. This is how the expansion started to come around, and the next source of content was on YouTube. At the time, only a small number of videos were added, which makes sense. Of course, I had IRL stuff and all that, all the stuff that I already make, so videos on YouTube weren't as much. And of course, the little disclaimer here, these videos were privated due to being a lower level of quality. Of course, I'm implying that later on because I was very young. This was, of course, public when it was first out and for many years. So this is implying, like, I think it was like 2017 when I made them private or so. Or it could have been before then. These videos were privated due to being a lower level of quality, but held as memories. Only 3 remain. And of course, privated. The first ever video I made was involving Chow Karate. So, good times, good times. Alright, moving on. Here we go. Next up is July 1st, 2009 to March 16th, 2012, the final Origin City process. So of course, I started content creating in a certain city, and before I moved out of that city and out of state, this would be deemed as the final stuff that happened within that time. So the final Origin City process. So 2009 is the usual from up to 2009. In 2010, IRL members of my team finally participate in content, live action videos, and more, such as Exedra RPG. Good times. That had 7 seasons, to which none of them were completed. Yeah, that was a thing. And in 2011, online members of team finally participate in content. That's the reason why I mentioned my team in this, because they actually contributed. And of course, 2012 is the usual. This includes the updates of 2010 and 2011. If I remember correctly, I should have some information about these times. In 2010, we of course have the third content evolution. With members joining in on content, the quality improves. This has some limits due to members getting banned, so yeah. So when it came to members, it came to like new ideas, creating scripts, not coding scripts, but like things for video production, which worked quite well. So I'm glad about that. Oh, I gotta like go to like window after window or tab after tab for this. Okay, and then in summer of 2011 was the final team evolution, just like before, but high school. The team is to evolve one last time. The final team name is Exicon Exedra. Exicon Exedra is also the name of my universe, main content, and community. This does not include things like Dream Smack Studio or Photo Dojo X. And I probably wouldn't count Exicon Exedra Tournament Exhibition. Not really a series, and it's implied for the community rather than the universe. No, we have that. Alright, let's see. What's next? Yeah, it is. Okay. Oh, oops. Okay. Next up is March 17th, 2012 to June 19th, 2014, the New City process. I want to clarify, this is something I think I didn't mention, but I've moved to 3 different cities over the time of March 17th, 2012 to October 25th, 2021. I should mention that. Okay, so after moving from one state to another, new people have joined IRL plus adapted to New City for content ideas. The usual still occurs. This is how Exedra RPG Season 4 and 5 came around, and of course 6 and 7. So we have, like, I want to go ahead and give thanks to the people from, like, before then, like, I don't know the current usernames for these guys, but I know them as iDog624 and JWeave. And then there's other people who didn't go based on usernames, but by their IRL names, especially one who passed away in 2016. And of course, from the people that I know from the state I live in now, it's people like Battlegage 101, Toffeeboy1, and Retro Horror. I think if you're trying to find the names, they may be different people, because it could be same names, different people, so yeah. Okay. On June 20th, 2014 is the 4th content evolution. The debut of the original XCPS series was established, and there was a misconception that this started in 2013. The original series was privated due to my IRL being present, so we won't be able to see any of those. Okay, next is June 21st, 2014 to May 17th, 2015, the final school community process. Alas, time was ticking and graduating high school was at hand. Soon, the next evolution was to begin after. So, of course, any possibility from people IRL that weren't part of my team but were still of the community in some way could enjoy my content until they actually willingly found me online to continue to go with that support. To an extent, kinda, but it's a little iffy there. Alright, May 18th, 2015, the 5th content evolution. 2D Fighter Maker 2002 was discovered and began my first fighting game on there, Hexacon Exedra Roblox Battle. This was footage from version 3.1 in 2017. So yeah, this was something. Now of course it was a little more of a loose kind of gameplay. It had infinites, I didn't do variables, so I had to create like some sort of rules on how to make legit ways of playing the game because of my limitations. I'm glad I got that adjusted as time goes on, so, but not for this game. Exedra Chao Combat, definitely. And the rest of 2015, 2016, the continuation, development, developing more works on Hexacon Exedra Roblox Battle, along with more Roblox games and so on. Alright, moving on. January to June 13th of 2017. First RPG Maker game. Now, there was technically a game before then, which was Exedra RPG as a RPG Maker game, but the balancing was too far off, I couldn't really fix it. But for this one, the next big project was in RPG Maker 2003. This is Hexacon Exedra Minor Advancement, which is available on itch.io. I think if you check the itch.io data or info from my card site, I don't know if I actually put anything there. I'm not sure. But this is what we have. Alright, moving on. From 2018 to 2020, the 6th content evolution came around. VR Chat resulted in making friend-exclusive VR games and videos. This was back when I had like YouTube videos staying private, or not private, unlisted, because I didn't really trust the public with the toxicity that happened on YouTube ever since 2009. That was one big thing. So yeah, we've had the first one, which is Hexacon Exedra VR Racing. The second one was Exedra VRPG, which is now known as Exedra VR. Hexacon Exedra VR Racing Plus, and I think I called that one Intense Combat, which is the 4th one. Those are just some of the games. Alright, moving on. February 2nd, 2020, the beginning of Exedra Chao Combat, my second 2D Fighter Maker 2002 game. Footage was from version 3.0, so we already know about this. And of course, July 27th, 2020, my 7th content evolution, I became a VTuber. And as you can see, I never really changed my avatar. I just put on Roblox accessories, and that's like the update of my main avatar. The rest were like new forms. So yeah, we're going to probably need to speed this up. We're getting close. We are on page 23. We have to go to page 35, so 24. December 20th, 2020 is the 8th content evolution to where the Hexaconic Seadra Tournament Exhibition Series finally begins after 19 years, and we've gotten people of VTubers being a part of this tournament. And of course, I've done 14 of these so far. I don't know when I'm going to do the 15th, but just a little heads up. Probably going to get to that at some point, maybe. Next up, 2021 to 2025 plus, the Iconic Federation, thanks to Vrast, of course. A public reveal of this big series was made. The smaller version was back in like 2011 or so. I don't remember. I gotta look at the info from it, but there we go. A public reveal of this big series was made. Just like all series of mine, there are very big limits, but was happy to show OCs from this series. The Iconic Federation was exclusively shown in Vrast. Okay, moving on. March 17th, 2022, 9th Content Evolution, XCPS was rebooted to a more advanced type of presentation, the ones we see nowadays. Well, whenever I make them, of course. And of course, this is what many people would like. December 27th, 2022, the 10th Content Evolution, the beginning of development of the project Dream Smack Studio. This is definitely something that I want to thank everyone for supporting, and I want to thank Noir for gifting me this game. I'm happy. Alright, next up is from 2023 to 2024, continuation. Multiple XCPS presentations, XCTE tournaments, trailers for the Iconic Federation, Exceeder Chow Combat, and Dream Smack Studio, of course. Next up is January 21st, 2025, the 11th Content Evolution. Card games of mine can finally be printed. Of course, Persona Exceedra, Hexaconic Seadra, Cross Impact, and Orb. Next up is series of mine. These are all the series that I can recall or that I would like to bring up. So I'm not going to go over them so much because we have still a short amount of time. So these are all the series that I've worked on over time that either have been remaining private or had some sort of publication one way or another. So I am very happy that I've managed to go this far with my content creating dream. Really glad about it. And of course, I'd like to bring up the disclaimer once more. Of course, even though that I've done all of this, I haven't really gotten much traction or anything. I'd rather do this to set myself as an option rather than whether or not people would choose to, you know, partake. And that's why the gesture alone is what I would like people to see. And learning about how things came to be after almost 25 years. And even if I suffer through this a lot, I will still continue to go. It's only showing determination to know that I care for everyone in any way that I can. So we have that. And here we are now, 100,000 hours of content creating later. Well, by the time it's almost, you know, we have 4 minutes and 33 seconds left. I may have suffered every single day with multiple forms of suffering occurring almost every single day, but I will continue. I will not give up. I will continue as so. Here's to the best. And that is the presentation that I have for you all. So that's the best that I can do. I hope this gave out a good history about what I went through, what I did, how things have been. So yeah. Okay. Let me just go ahead and rotate myself for 2 announcements that I'd like to make first. First up, I have decided to make the decision that 2026 will not be the year of charge. And the reason why is because I realized that I lost a lot of motivation to work on content for the first 3 to 4 months of this year because of my completion syndrome from making 2025 the best year so far. So I fear that if I did 2026 by a year of charge, making 2027 the best, I feared that I would lose entirety of motivation for that and not make content after 2027, which I refuse to let that happen. Which means, of course, that means that content creating will continue in a normal pace. So which means for 2026, you guys are getting more content. More than what I was originally planning. So there we have it. To which I have one last announcement before it's 100,000 hours, and then we'll have more announcements. So the last announcement that I have, the final one before we reach 100,000, is this. I will be celebrating my 10,000th content creation day on December 18th, 2028 at 3 p.m. Eastern. So that's the plan that I have. It could change to probably 10 p.m. depending on the dog situation, but this is what I have so far. So, yeah. That being said, I think all we have left is just one final thing. We wait. This is the moment. I'm really looking forward to this. I've waited for so long. I'm happy. No matter what I go through, I will continue. And I'd like to thank everyone for being there for so long. So, thank you. All right. Minute 10. And it'll be it. Then we'll get to those announcements. 1 minute. I don't really know what else there is to say. Just, like, I mainly am excited to express or show this because of the fact of my determination, rather than being proud of myself. I'm glad that the progress is made, but I'm not going to put myself in higher value as a person because of this. Because it's more about being humble. And what I went through for the sake of others is a good way to show it. And I want to thank you all so much for being here for that. 15 seconds. This will, without a doubt, be the amazing moment that I have waited for so long, and to which I say, once more, thank you. We have reached 100,000. After over 24 and a half years, I've done it. No, we've done it. And now, for the first thing I'd like to do is announce the new information. This is going to be involving DreamSmack Studio. I think this is what you guys have been waiting for, and I'm happy to give out the info. I'm happy to announce Wave 4 has been confirmed and has already been in development. And for involving character number 20, the character will be revealed in XEPS 8, planned for summer 2026. And for 2026, there is an estimation of 4 characters to be revealed, with the final 3 being revealed in 2027. There we have it. There we have. There's the announcements right there. I'm very happy. So I hope that you all stick around in the future for XCPS 8. And of course, there will be new stages, and I wonder how the quality of life update is going to come around. I was wanting to do this after the quality of life update was there, but I've decided to do it now. So, quality of life update that's happening in Smack Studio, we'll most likely go with that. Probably, I will either get that depending on when it's going to be out, and I'm guessing I could end up going with it during Wave 4, but definitely Wave 5 if it's what I think it is when the game is going to get its update. So, that is that is it. That is all that I have for the celebration. I know it's short, but it's more about the quality than the quantity involving time. So we're going to go ahead and find someone to raid. Let's see. Who can I raid at the time? We are going to raid Tomo. So I would like to thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for, well, I think it's going to be Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition again. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next stream. And may the best be upon all of you. Take care. Thank you for being here.